The story begins with a protagonist who starts by confessing the monotony of his life. Born into a regular family, living regular days, he believed he was destined to die without anything extraordinary ever happening. However, that wasn't the case. As one of his eyes glows mysteriously, he reveals, everything changed. The screen shifts to a blonde character as the protagonist recounts discovering the game Heroes of Destiny. With a sly grin, he proclaims, "That's how I became the owner of the world." But now, back in his modest apartment, the protagonist is grinning for an entirely different reason. He's finally alone. It's not that he particularly likes or dislikes school. It's just that nothing compares to the joy he feels when sitting in front of his PC. "When I'm playing," he admits, "that alone is enough to make me happy." In the world of single-player games, he's the protagonist. The endless routes, the ability to replay scenarios, and even hack the system to break all its rules. This universe existed solely for him. With a sheepish expression, he adds, "At least that's what I thought. But now, it's time to start over." He turns on his live stream where the chat immediately lights up. Someone mocks him, asking if he's a bum who skipped school to stay glued to his computer. Amid the jeers, a user named AGJ sends a small $10 donation. While modest, the gesture brings a smile to his face. "Something's better than nothing," he mutters. But then, out of nowhere, a user named DEA donates an astronomical $1,000. His grin falters into confusion. Grabbing his monitor, he stares at the screen as the chat explodes with shock. "Who's this crazy person?" the viewers clamor, certain the donor will ask for a refund. Instead, DEA requests the protagonist check his email. Curious and hesitant, he complies. The email reveals DEA is a longtime viewer and the developer of a notoriously difficult game, one so challenging that no one completed it during the closed beta. The creator challenges the protagonist to test its difficulty and determine whether it's worth releasing. Intrigued by the claim that nobody has beaten it, the protagonist's competitive spirit ignites. "What if I manage to finish it?" he wonders. "Even a regular guy like me could become someone special." A pop-up appears, asking if he'd like to install the game. Without hesitation, he selects yes. The game begins with the grim proclamation. The kingdom of Roke was destroyed by the kingdom of Japole in 294. You will be born as an insignificant soul in this place, and rise to become a hero to stop the Demon King's resurrection. When you ascend to the god's throne, any wish you desire will be granted. As the protagonist loads into the game, he's unimpressed by the graphics. "These are worse than I imagined," he remarks. But for a single-person development project, it's forgivable. He names his character Master of the Game, and a welcome message greets him to the continent of Ellen. His journey begins in the middle of a dense forest. The game feels oddly ordinary, lacking even a tutorial. As he explores, he encounters the village chief, who eyes him warily. "You're not a familiar face," the old man says. "What do you want here?" The protagonist finds it strange that there's no dialogue box to select responses. Instead, a text box prompts him to type. Testing the waters, he types, "Hand over all your money or I'll kill everyone in the village." He waits anxiously for the response. Instead of a programmed reaction, the old man smacks him across the head with a staff. His character collapses, dead. Staring at the game over screen, the protagonist is dumbfounded. "Can I really talk to the NPCs?" he wonders. Undeterred, he selects try again. This time, he adopts a gentler approach, asking for food and drink. Sympathetic, the old man leads him to the village and offers a mug of tea. Grateful, the protagonist drinks it, only to be poisoned and die again. Frustrated but determined, he devises a plan. "If I disconnect the internet, the game's creator won't be able to manipulate the NPCs." He pulls the cable and tries again. However, the old man glitches and transforms into a grotesque monster, killing him instantly. A message appears. "You were killed for speaking nonsense." By now, the protagonist is hooked. The sheer unpredictability of the game excites him. It's no wonder nobody completed it during beta testing. For days, he becomes consumed by the game, losing track of time and reality. This obsession stretches for 10 years. In an office, a coworker calls out, "Oiro-san," the protagonist, now an adult. His colleague informs him that she's sent the requested files. After a moment of hesitation, she shyly asks if he'd like to grab dinner. Just the two of them. Her hopeful expression falters when he declines, citing something more important at home. Disappointed, she watches him leave, unaware he's rushing to finally complete the game he spent a decade on. As night turns to morning, Oiro achieves the impossible. He ascends to the god's throne and secures a spot in the Hall of Honor. He's ecstatic. He's finally special. But the joy is fleeting. Reflecting on his life, he realizes it's emptier than ever. He remembers the vibrant characters from the game, from the Black Prince to the Witch Celestina. Their lifelike interactions had felt more real than anything outside his screen. It feels surreal. He leans back in his chair, letting the euphoria wash over him. For a moment, he feels special, like he's truly accomplished something extraordinary. Then, the message appears. Would you like to start a new adventure? The message isn't like the usual game prompts. It's startlingly honest. Warning: selecting yes will teleport you to the continent of Ellen. You will not return until the adventure is completed. Oiro raises an eyebrow, his finger hovering over the mouse. Teleport me to Ellen? What kind of weird bonus stage is this? Despite the cryptic warning, his curiosity wins. His competitive spirit refuses to let him walk away without uncovering every secret the game holds. Gripping his outdated mouse, clunky and brick-like, with a confident click, he selects yes. Suddenly, his screen goes black. A low hum fills his ears, followed by a strange voice echoing in the void. Welcome, master of the game. Your adventure begins now. The darkness engulfs him as his consciousness fades. Oiro's eyes flutter open. The first thing he notices is the searing pain in his chest. Each breath feels labored. His surroundings are unfamiliar, a dimly lit room illuminated by flickering candlelight. His mind races. Where am I? What's going on? You're finally awake, a gruff voice says. Oiro turns his head with difficulty, spotting an elderly man with a thick mustache beside him. The man looks relieved. Thanks to the high-tier potion I had in reserve, you survived, the man continues. But I'm afraid it came with side effects. You're bound to feel some chest pain for a while. Oiro blinks, trying to piece together what's happening. Who are you? He croaks. The man's smile falters. I see. It must be the potion's side effects causing memory loss. Allow me to introduce myself again. I'm Russell, your healer. The name doesn't ring any bells. Oiro's confusion deepens as Russell continues speaking. What strikes him most is that Russell isn't speaking Japanese, yet Oiro can understand every word perfectly. The healer stands, placing a reassuring hand on Oiro's shoulder. You'll feel better soon, young master. Rest for now. I'll take my leave. With that, Russell exits the room, leaving Oiro alone. The door creaks shut, and silence settles. Oiro sits up, grimacing as the pain in his chest flares again. The flickering candlelight casts eerie shadows across the room. Minutes pass, and the candle finally burns out. Oiro, now more alert, rises from the bed. His movements feel sluggish and foreign, as though his body isn't his own. Stumbling toward a dust mirror on the far wall, he braces himself against the frame and peers into the glass. The reflection staring back at him is unrecognizable. His once familiar face is gone, replaced by that of a stranger. The body he's in is taller, broader, and clearly more battered. Bruises and scars cover his skin. Panic bubbles within him. Whose body is this? What the hell is going on? He stares into the mirror, his reflection mirroring his growing despair. He remembers his 30 years of life vividly, his mundane days, his obsession with gaming, and his years spent mastering heroes of destiny. Suddenly, a chime echoes in his ears, and a translucent system window appears before him. Player name: Calc Shiken. Status: noble with no profession. Level: 8 reputation. 3 stars, 14% approval rate. Skills: governing. Finance development military condition. Battered and broken. Oiro's heart pounds as he reads the details.